Hey, what's up, everybody? So I think we are good to go and live now. We'll wait a few minutes for people to trickle in, but I am Jason and I am with Tasha. Hello, Tasha.
Hello. Hi, thank you for having
And
me.
awesome. Thank you for joining. It's good to have you here. Thanks for having me on Core Live, actually. I just get a kick out of that. So today we are doing the behind the screens making of the Core D&D contest trailer for those who are interested in doing some more cinematic stuff and like creating trailers for their games. This is going to be a look at how we created some of the shots using Core and the Core platform for the trailer that we are going to also play in just a moment. So I've got that queued up.
Awesome.
And just giving it a second, I want to make sure everything's cool with the stream. Looks like things are good.
So we did get a lot of questions as to
Oh
what
my
went
gosh.
into the making of this trailer. Oh, hey, Nick. Thanks for joining us.
Cool. I can just let me get a quick thumbs up.
And then if you guys
Sounds all
have
right.
any questions of your own, I think Jason will just be giving a general overview of the questions people asked originally. But feel free to ask them in chat. I will be monitoring it and making sure we get to them.
Awesome. All right.
And I think first
we're
up, we're going to
mostly good
watch the
here.
trailer
This is
itself,
the
right?
Core D&D Design a Dungeon trailer. Play it now.
Oh, this is my favorite shot coming up. Here we go. Oh, top down. Nice. Oh, and this is the... Yes. And that last shot got the most questions. And yep, McNibbins in chat says, I want to know all about that amazing dragon. So cool.
And here is Core. And give me 1 sec to kind of load up this scene. Tasha, if you could take it away for 1 second while I fix one audio headphones issue very quickly. Because I think we're going to go with wired headphones on this. I'm having one little audio issue.
Yeah, so this upcoming scene that Jason is about to show off is a scene that I made. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm biased though. Fun fact, I made it in an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I think that just kind of speaks to the power of the tools we have. I used our terrain generator and then our foliage painting system. And I was able to create a pretty immersive scene given the time constraints. Oh, and hey, Daddy-O, thank you for the host. Also, just want to shout out to the chat. Hey, Entropy, Agrippina, K-pop Sim, thank you for joining us. Yeah, this was a really fun forest scene to create. And I can definitely share, I guess, tips, although I learned them all from the environment streams I sit in with Brendan. Hey Heinz, thanks for joining us. And actually, I think all of the assets I used in here, I don't know if we'll get a chance to see them, but I did use community content and then our new fantasy assets.
Sorry about
I'm a
that.
robot. Uh-oh.
And we're back. Everyone can hear me. Okay, so let's take a quick peek. Tasha, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you, but
Perfect.
is my audio coming through okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Nick said it wasn't good.
Uh-oh. What's that? Your audio wasn't
My
good?
voice is higher and doubled.
Ah.
Did I jinx it this morning?
We had this perfect, but 30 seconds ago. Let me hear it one more time.
I think so.
Is it still? Can we get a quick check? Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a quick look. We're back. All right, here we go. And nothing happened. And there was a trailer. And here we go. Okay, we just came out of the trailer, and we'll edit that later.
Yay.
Said the guy who will edit it later. Okay, so we're in this woods, and as you can see, this is the shot from. Let's go over here. Something's coming. Where were we there? Here we go. So this is the shot we're going to start with. You see, we kind of push in through the trees, and then we kind of reveal. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Push into the trees and kind of reveal this thing, this monster, elemental creature. So what we have here is a scene created by Tasha, the Tav's original, which is a very moody and foggy woods. There is some awesome. This should probably be published at some point because there's some really fun stuff if you kind of go through here. There's a lot of scenes that we didn't get to use because we're making such a short video. But
I know. So there's so much work that goes into creating all of the environments and scenes that you see in these trailers. And sometimes, so I spent around 2 hours making this, and it's only in the trailer for a few seconds.
yeah.
So just imagine all of the work that goes into creating all of the other scenes that are only shown for 2 seconds. It's truly incredible labor of love to get these going.
It's true. And as we get more and more of these kind of incredible things that are coming out of the communities, like experiences and scenes and games as well, there's a lot of stuff that's really fun to go explore around. And some of that kind of ends up making its way into these videos. And we're really grateful to have such a talented and inspiring community making this stuff, which we'll show in a few minutes with some of the other scenes. But for now, so what we did here, those shots were done with a roaming spectator camera. This is available in community content. You drop this in. There's a bunch of various settings that you can change for the different speeds that you want each part of, or the different there's like presets, right? And so you're selecting different presets as you go through the scene and you're shooting. You can select, there's like a higher speed camera movement, a lower speed one. And so you can fine tune all of this in the movement settings, the max speed. And when you pair this with a controller, you can actually use the analog movement of the stick to really get nice sweeping kind of pans or tilts or what have you. So with this one, what we did is we placed this roaming camera and we hit a combination of keys you can set in the roaming camera. And let's see, I'm going to go full screen. There we go. And so what we have here, my mouse speed is set very low. So let me fix that. And that was obviously for camera use. I bring this camera sensitivity way down so that I can really crank it as I see fit. Also, you're always doing such small, subtle movements. You don't want to have a fast speed, and so the slower you can.
So if someone wanted to create like their own game trailer or cinematic sequence in Core, do you recommend that they have a controller just for that added level of control?
Just for this tool specifically, absolutely, because you can move around and control it. Let me see if I can set this one up. I don't want to overload my Bluetooth.
And then can it be any controller or does it have to be an Xbox controller?
It needs to be a PC controller, right?
PC controller.
Any controller
okay.
that works with your PC will work, I'm pretty sure. I use I use the Xbox Elite, the newer one. The reason I like the Elite controllers and the Xbox controllers is the way that Windows dials in, and has all these different settings that you can adjust. So you can change the curvature of your controller sticks and how you apply speed, and that allows you to throttle your moves as you go. So this becomes pretty second nature. And now, if you're doing just axis movement, you can, and that means that you're not using the look controls here to move around. If you're just moving on a left or right, if you're just doing like a flat plane, you can use the shift key or the alt key with this, and that will change your speed. So like here's the fast one, and then if I want to follow this creature from behind, I can just this creature's on a preset path. We have markers in here that it's following, and then if I press the alt key a couple times, here, let me make sure you hear that click. You can see that there's a very slow setting, right? And that also applies to the raising and lowering of the camera, or like that kind of crane effect. So if you want to speed that up, you can just press shift, right? Tap alt, and then there's the very slow, regular, fast, through you go, and so on and so forth. So, and there's a nice, I love this tool because as Gabe's been working on it, or Standard Combo's been working on this, you can kind of see how there's this nice softening of the movement, like this easing that happens. I just love that. It's so easy to just let go of the button and let it naturally fall to where you want.
And then, quick question.
Yeah.
What does easing mean?
Easing is like as you're doing a movement, right, and you're getting to your key frame, which is where your next point is, right? So you're gonna stop at this point. Easing is so that you don't just go and then it's just a stop, right? Like it's a subtle, it's a curvature in the velocity so that it slowly comes down. So that's how this shot was done. And as you can see, we have trees that Tasha put there, and we kind of put a path through, and look, we're able to get this kind of, and if we're timing it right, we're right here, and I can just pull back very slowly, and there's our through the trees shot. There's no controller needed for this. This is just a very simple.
Oh, we do have a question from chat, if I may interject. Anthony24 asks, are you using a controller for all of these movements happening live?
Nope, these are not happening on controllers right now, although, here, let me plug it in. Okay, so here we have a controller made by a letter and a shape. And what we're going to do is, this is mapped so that we can zoom in and out and move around. So you can see that we can get a kind of there's like a little bit of a drone effect here if we want to. So here's my mouse, okay? Let's do the mouse movement. We're going through. Let's really slow it down.
Oh, so jumpy.
So we're going through. Okay. And now I want to move around, and you can see that with the velocity, it's just not smooth, right? Yeah.
Not smooth at all. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so that's no good. So let's try it this way. With the controller now, as we move around, right, we're able to just very subtly, let me stick movement on the camera here. You can see how subtle the movement is.
Nice.
I mean, it's
like butter.
It's so light, right?
Yeah.
And if we want to speed that, or if we want to zoom in. Okay, so now, all right. Before I get ahead of myself, there are other tools within this roaming Spectator Cam that we have.
Is this the Spectator Cam? Is that a tool that comes with Core? Or was it on community content?
That is on community content, and this is really for like run and gun filming, right? Like or recording. So what you're doing here is you're always going to be live recording with this, and you're kind of controlling the movement on the fly. You're not programming movement like we do with the cinematic camera. This is really for implementing live capture. And when I say live capture, I do want people to think about this, because you can implement this into your game for a Spectator Cam during a live multiplayer match. It takes up a player slot for now, but imagine that, like if you have a 4v4 game going on, and you want to take that, add an additional slot for a spectator, you can put in that slot and implement this tool, and with some complex reworking, maybe not that complex, but complex for me because I don't know how to do it, but maybe not that complex. You can rework it and have spectator cams in your game to watch the gameplay and record the gameplay live as it's happening. I mean, we have people in here. For the Horde scene, we use this tool, which we'll go to the Horde scene next after this and talk about it as well.
Oh, love the Horde scene.
Yeah, that's a fun one. That was a very fun late night shoot too in the Discord. What else can we do with this? So, like the spectator cam, yes, roaming spectator cam. Like the spectator cam or the cinematic cam, we have a field of view option. And the field of view allows you to zoom in, or not zoom in, I'm sorry, like kind of compress your image as if you were getting a lens of a different, using a lens of a different focal distance. So for what I mean by that is if you want the ultra wide GoPro effect, right, you can achieve that very easily, right? And you get the distortion.
Yeah.
Like that is very, very easy to kind of illustrate the scale there. But if you also want to, and what that does is, it kind of really separates the trees in this scene, right? It makes it feel like they're a lot more spread out. And so if we were to say go way back and zoom in, now we have compressed our foreground and background, and you can see that there's much more of a dense feeling here.
Yeah, that's
right?
very subtle but effective.
Yeah, and you can incorporate a field of view to this as well using the VFX. But that is like super alpha on our side as well. Like I haven't really had a chance to get the depth of field implemented into the shooting because it's just that's some complex filmmaking when you start doing the depth of field. And I'm just
So I know
having such a good
originally,
time already.
you had a shot of the golem or rock monster going through the trees from top down.
Yes.
What was your thought process behind like cutting that? How do you decide what shots fit in the trailer?
Oh, you mean the one that
That
we
might.
shot that we didn't use? This kind of shot here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I love this shot. This shot, originally what we were going to do with this was an establishing shot, right? To show, because you really want to show this kind of wooded area, and you want to show um, this living forest, right? And to show just trees, you lose all sense of spot. Like the spotlight is entirely focused on the creature, and the trees all of a sudden become kind of set decoration more than something that should be featured. And that's kind of why I like this shot a lot. But at the same time, when you're making a video and you only have 2 or 3 seconds per shot, and then you find yourself kind of maybe not, it's not giving the effect you want, right? Because there's a lot, it shows a lot here. You see a lot of this creature, and like we kind of really wanted to just give hints at creatures, because there are swords and weapons, and like this is such a huge update. The D&D stuff is massive. Like the framework is insane. It's insane. I can't even begin to understand like how to create a game around it, but I find myself like totally immersed in building dungeons. Like I just love just designing like cool dungeons and playing with like torch lighting. Is like so fun to mess around with. Anyway, so here we are flying around with this thing, and we just do a live capture while we're going. If you're using OBS or if you're using NVIDIA or some of the other ones out there, you're just capturing and doing these shots while you're capturing, and then you kind of go in and you edit down what you like. And so that's really basically it. The NPC is using these waypoints, and it's a pretty simple process of just kind of going through and just recording the shot live. So that is that one. But not totally done with the roaming spectator cam at all. We have another scene to go through. So let's check out the Horde scene.
Yeah, the Horde scene was awesome. And will we talk about the dragon scene?
Yes, we will.
Yes,
We
okay.
totally will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll save that one for the end. So this is the Horde scene. You might remember this bridge from. Let's see.
The city of Bastion
Yes,
by
created by
Mucusinator.
Mucusinator, and also playable in the Shadow.
I think it's Hero Born now.
Heroborn, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the scene. Let's just point out really quick. You can see we have live players here coming in, and then we have this super fun horde of zombies. Sound effects drop down, okay, and then the overhead.
Mm-hmm.
How did we do it? All right, let's get into it. First things first, you have to armor up. So we brought in a bunch of stuff so everybody could choose and pick what they wanted. And then we have this scene set up here. Now this is slightly modified. We had to clear out some trees and everything. And major shout out to Mucusinator. I mean, this is like, if you, Curtis said we should shoot it from the top down, and we ended up just not doing much at the top down except for that kind of one approaching scene. But if you look, like this is like totally dreamlike. I love it. The depth of field's so cool. We kept it in. We shot with it because it was just so strong. Okay, so we have this portal waypoint and an NPC spawn kit, and then a bunch of waypoints that they walk to. And what this is this is just some generating spawning creatures, skeletons of various types, so that when you play it, we use the roaming spectator cam. Oops, come on now. Everybody kind of gets their stuff. And when you press the select key, it should start spawning. Wait a minute, is that the right key? There they go. Hello. They should start spawning. There they are. So then it just starts spawning all these super fun new neighbors. And everybody starts hanging out, and just using that roaming camera, we can go in and choose what we want to do. And so as they're coming in, we now have this live shot. We have subjects. We can either go very wide, give it that kind of GoPro look. You can even slow it down. And now you can set their speed. You can match their speed with the camera. If you want the camera to kind of go a little slower so that they can walk past, you can do that. They look really spread out. So let's make it look like a really gnarly army by zooming in, and we'll compress them all forward. And now they're kind of, whoops. That's the depth of field working against us at this point, right? So we haven't really played with the depth of field on this shot yet, but you can see.
Ooh, and then can we touch on the tools outside of Core that you use to like capture, edit?
Yeah, totally. Let's. I want everybody to leave like totally ready to capture their stuff. There are tools out there for free. I use some paid ones. Okay, there's a lot of little dudes here. Let's bring them back. Abracadabra. Nope. 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 Hey. Okay. Well. Oh. Hey. That's not giving. No, that's not it. Something tells me we're about to crash something.
Oh, and then Luck of Buck asks, where do you get the SFX for the trailer?
Ah, very nice. So, being being on the team and everything, we kind of have access to the core library of sound effects. But the sound effects we use in the trailer, I think, like for most trailers, it's 100% available in core. For for most trailers. For this one, I think we had to dive outside for a few shots, just because we had to recreate some of the ones that were in core, because I didn't have access to some of the files. So we just kind of re-recorded them in the booth late at night, and that's how we did that. But shout out to
Matthew.
Matthew for the
Yeah,
incredible
our
track.
sound designer Matthew is amazing, and he has worked. You guys work closely together to get some of these like sweeping, like soundtrack, epic music shots.
Yeah, we're usually in touch about these things till the moment it goes live, or at least until the moment it's ready to go live, and then I disappear into a publishing hole for a minute and fill out a bunch of metadata. But yeah, this is always like a joint venture, because you cannot have a good video without paying equal attention to the audio. I mean, it's half of the experience, you know. And I know that they say that like so much of video is muted these days, but what we're making here, like we're really trying to showcase the cinematic capabilities
and then
of the platform, and it's so strong.
We have a question in chat from McNibbins. Is the Horde keyframed or given a target path to walk to?
It has a target path, and there are paths. Let's see. I think, am I in preview mode here? Yeah. So there are paths for two different kind of Horde setups. So the first one was from the portal. The second one, there are points kind of around this center circle square area, and so we have the heroes here. And what we're going to show here to do with this tool is the orbit feature. Okay, now the orbit feature is how you can get a very smooth, even orbit. And what that is using a controller especially can be helpful. But if you're all the way scrolled in, because you can see that you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel here. And what that does is that actually is how you kind of set and place the orbit. So where your camera is, when it's fully scrolled in, that's kind of your orbit point. So when you're fully scrolled and zoomed in on this roaming spectator cam, and you place it down here, that is now the center of your orbit path. So as you scroll out, you will always orbit around there. And this is where the controller comes in, especially handy, because if you are, I want to make sure I'm not going to hit any castle walls, but I don't want to be too high up. Okay.
And then we have another question. Stajax asks, I know you said you used live players for the heroes. Is it possible to do it without live players?
Yes, it is. You can read up about it in the core NPC documentation and set and place your own you can place animated meshes, you can work with NPCs, you can do a whole bunch of different methods to create to place different models. However, you're going to be currently limited to the meshes that we have. If you have friends who can come and join in, or if you're on Discord and need players, you can always probably hit people up for a quick shooting session on Discord, and I'm sure you can find a few people who wouldn't mind being stand-ins, and then they can dress up appropriately for your video.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few moments where we'll have like our team load in, and then we'll be like, okay, no, everyone needs to change. It has to be matching the theme. Definitely guilty of that, as I love my crash test dummy skin, but some sacrifices must be made.
Everyone knows
for the
how
sake
I
of
feel
art.
about hoverboards, and I still don't understand why they can't be included in medieval times. Back to the Future had a time machine. Anyway, let's look at this orbit. So what we have here, we placed the camera, we zoomed out quite a bit with the scroll wheel. On the controller, what we're doing here is a little gesture here, left and right gesture, to get this orbit, and you can adjust it very slowly, or you can, if you have the muscle dexterity to really ease into it, you can. Personally, that's something that you might want to adjust with the stick control in the accessories program that comes with Windows. But you can see this is basically it. You sweet little orbit, and you can kind of go down. If you turn off camera collision on some of these objects, you can kind of do like if you stage it right and delete some of the some of this like cross beam stuff, whatever. Like right here. If you were to delete this object, ooh, AR augmented
Oh,
reality.
Jason, I think your audio is cutting out a little.
Uh-oh.
Is there a setting you can adjust?
My bad. You know what? I'm getting a little soft as I talk. I'm like moving back too far. But anyway, you see this thing right here. If you were to get rid of this and some other stuff and turn off camera collision, you might be able to do like a cool behind the gates reveal. That might be pretty awesome. But that's how you do the orbit there. And then you can always zoom back in and take back over. And actually, while doing this, while in the orbit, you can adjust your focal distance, and you can kind of
Nice.
kind of create this like chopper 5-eye in the sky, like we are on the scene. GTA looking kind of camera, right? And that you might actually even want like here. Let's see if we can recreate that with just the mouse. It's like.
And then we have McNibbins asks, how do you set the orbit center point?
That is when you are zoomed all the way in.
Ah.
Right, and now our focal distance is. Let's bring it back, widening our field of view here, and because I might be using focal distance correctly. So you basically are all the way zoomed in, and you can kind of. What I do is I kind of just place it like this and just find a spot, make that the center. All right, well, be right there. Something, and then when you zoom out, that'll be the point.
Ah, cool.
Right.
Great question, McNibbins.
Thank you very much, McNibbins. So I recognize that name. So that's how you use the kind of orbit feature, and the orbit feature does pair really nicely with the controller and a very slow move speed. I don't think it's maybe it's slightly slow, because then you can move the camera down a path and orbit while you move, and eventually even potentially be following from behind. So you have a lot of opportunity here with this in live gameplay. Just remember to disable the UI. That is a feature built into the settings in Core.
Yes.
However, it's also built into this. So for example, you can, let's see, there is no UI, obviously, because I deleted it for this shot, but you can press U, and that is built into the roaming spectator cam, so that if you build that into your game and you want to keep your UI, but if you're doing capture, you want to disable it, you do a quick press a U, and the UI is gone. If you're finding that there is an issue, then you can also go into the settings and use the gameplay under gameplay and hit disable UI as well. Standard Combo is the designer of this plugin and tool, and if you have questions,
shout out to Standard Combo.
Major shout out to Standard Combo. If you are in the chat right now, so
he is in the chat. Yeah.
So fire off those questions.
We do have another question from Stajax, who says, sorry, I know I'm asking a lot of questions. First of all, never apologize for that, because that's what the stream is for. And then moving on to the question, is there any planning a way of adding filters to the camera, or is it all After Effects at this time?
Whatever you can do with VFX, awesome question. Whatever you can do with VFX, mess with it, experiment with it. Mm-hmm. Let us know in Discord what you're able to accomplish. We have a showcase channel. I would love to see stuff come up on the showcase channel. But ultimately, what we're seeing, then they kind of meet in the center and then say, hey, where'd everybody go? There's no humans here. Oh, I'm hungry. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, I think you might be interested in the post-process effects we have here, Stajax. So they're basically filters you can add to your game. And I know Mucusinator has utilized a lot here.
Yes.
For sure.
There are color
Ambient Occlusion.
Yeah.
The
depth of field is there.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to think of.
It's right there. And I love the depth of field in this too, because this shot looks so cool with it when it is alive. and you are.
Yeah, depth of field is so nice for like creating that sense of scale.
Let's send some folks this way. So you saw that shot. It is a drop-down shot where we have our 4 heroes kind of looking, and we drop down, and it's like we see the heroes, right? And that uses the depth of field, and we're kind of focused on. I think we were way back here, and when we went in to about here when we did that shot, something like that, we took the depth of field down a little bit for that. This is set up for a different shot because you can see it coming into focus there and the fog dissipating. And so you can see where the sweet spot is for this. And then, so what we did is we let our new friends come down. And they start to come into focus and get a little sharper. Then you set your drop speed, right? We don't want to drop really fast. We want to drop nice and slow. And so it would be kind of like a slow drop, and then you would have the reveal here. Let go of the key. Oh, that didn't really ease. I must have hit the ground. Whoops. Must have hit the ground there. But anyway, yeah. So that's how we did the Horde shot, and then that's how you get the orbit. And what else? What else is there? What else can we do with this?
Let's see, we have a few more questions in chat.
Yeah, let's go to the next
Antropy
shot.
asks, does D&D restrict you to the historical fiction aesthetic? I definitely think our contest does focus on the kind of classic RPG medieval look. It's entirely open to your interpretation, though. And then moving on, Anthony 24 asks, will the preview mode watermark go away with that second UI toggle? Oof, that's a good one.
The preview mode can be removed by pressing F11 to enter full screen once you are in preview mode. So if you start preview mode in the editor's windowed frame look, press F11, it will remove the watermark. If you are pressing F11 and then hitting the equals key to go to preview mode, you will get the preview mode watermark on there. So a quick click while in preview mode, and it's gone. Okay, so 2 options. We got shadows and we got a build up. I think we're going to do shadows next because it's very simple. And this is a cinematic camera. Oh, and then here's something that didn't make it. Here's a little preview of something that we were working on and didn't quite make it. There was a dragon here, and then I moved it to use it somewhere else and instead of duplicating it, and so now it's gone. But you can imagine that obviously this didn't just turn into Jello by accident, and there was usually some fire and some spark effects involved. The reason that we didn't use it is because I didn't finish. So there we go.
Appreciate the honesty.
Yes. So here we have this shot. You can remember this shot in the trailer is right over here at the very end. This is just a very simple roaming spectator shot. Not roaming spectator, nice. I'm sorry. This is the that is the cinematic camera, cinematic shot here. You can see that. Once again, we're shooting in a slightly modified less affected version of that's the same map by Mucusinator.
Yeah, I will put a link in chat to this map because it is truly beautiful.
Yeah, it's astounding. And I think there's a link to it in the YouTube description as well. So let's see, where does our camera go? Here's our camera. It starts and ends. You can see it starts here. It ends over here. I don't know where the start of it is. Oh, there it was back there. Right. And so what we did here is we have an animated mesh, we have a wall, and a spotlight. And so here comes the big reveal. Don't pay no attention to the lizard behind the corner. What up, dragon? You're just a little guy. He's not so scary. You're just a buddy. Oh my goodness. So this is the power of lighting.
I love that.
Yeah, and so you can have a lot of fun with this. I think, because we're all about just building up that tension and showing scale. And so with this, we have this really awesome silhouette. I mean, I think that's probably worthy of some sort of screenshot on something. It's pretty terrifying. And it just played so well to the theme. I was watching like so many videos and movies and dragon movies trying to find ways that like the way fire looks in shadow. That was one thing, is I wanted him to be blowing fire and I couldn't figure out how to like really create that effect without drowning out the shadow. And then I realized, like in all these movies, that it was like such a bogus lighting effect, because if the dragon is blowing fire, like half the shadows wouldn't be there. When you see like the dragon blowing fire overhead, you know, and it's like you see the dragon's like shadow of it like blowing fire. It was like in a Game of Thrones or something. I was like, well, wouldn't the fire be like illuminating so much that it would kind of drown out the shadow? But that doesn't look cool at all. So anyway, I don't know. That's really awesome. I don't know. There's something like very like Roger Waters about this. Y'all like The Wall. I don't know.
Stajack says it's literally like an actual film set. And I have to agree. There's like so many techniques that you've explained to me that you're like, oh, and this is how they actually do it on a real set.
Yeah.
But we're just doing it digitally. It's so cool.
It is. And it totally is machinima, right? It's machine cinema. Like we're totally in here just, you know, let's make it a little danker. Let's make it a little bit more of a dungeon. Like, okay, we'll make the floor a little wet. So if you want to do that, obviously that's a really easy, that's something even I can explain.
Woohoo!
So if you go to this floor, which is the cube here, I believe, and that's the brick ruin, and you were to say like edit that custom material, there is the roughness multiplier. Am I doing this right? No, that doesn't feel right. Yes, it does.
I feel like roughness sounds right.
Yeah, so there's the roughness multiplier, and that kind of just adds a little bit of reflection to it, and you can go full soaked if you want, to where even the grout has polish. For all you countertop fans out there. And then you can, you know, kind of bring it back to where it fits whatever kind of look you're going for. We didn't go full chrome, right? Like we kind of went for this like wet looking stone.
Slightly damp.
Slightly damp, yeah. And then you can, but you do play with the lighting when you do that, right? And you kind of can see how it loses its. Oh, so cool! Oh my goodness! Just want to see like.
Then we have another question from chat. McNibbins asks, "How is the dragon roar animated?"
Oh yeah, cool. So something even I can explain. What we did here is we took this raptor. There it is, raptor mob. And we went to play on start animation, and we did unarmed bite and changed the playback rate. So here's what the unarmed bite looks like. Whoa, chill out.
Whoa.
All right, here's what it looks like in a shadow.
Vicious.
Bad doggy. Okay, playback rate, and we're going to change that to half speed. Hey, which is still slightly terrifying. And
so
go
this
all
is
the
one
way
of
down
our animated meshes, by the way.
And even 0.1 is like still pretty fast. But if you go down to 0.01, and you were here, we'll just change the start position for the sake of. You can kind of scroll through and see how it. And that to me is a scream. That's a dragon's roar, if you will, as it were, if it is. And there it be. So yeah, so that's how we did that. And I just had it there looping. It was just looping, doing that. And that's how we got that shot. And I just want to add that when you are making a trailer for your game, you don't have to make one long, continuous sequence. It's totally fine to take a shot and then take another shot and then take another shot. Your audience is totally there, excited to see what you can do with all those shots, and trust the hard cut. When we talk about editing, whether it be today, maybe not, but tomorrow or whenever, the next time, trust the cut. Don't worry about the fade. Don't worry about the dissolve. Trust the cut. If you have a shot that's moving, cut to another shot that's moving in a different direction and trust your cut. because the fade is only going to slow down the pacing of your video, and it's only going to make it. It's there for a very specific purpose and effect. Trust your instincts. You will find that moment when you're watching it that it feels right, and then move on. Right? There's a really there's oh gosh. Okay, wait a minute. We'll talk about edit theory another time. Sorry. We're about to talk about Walter Murch's book and like Apocalypse Now and how they cut like 1.5 frames, like 1.5 edits a day on that film. They shot so much that they would like go into the office that day or go into the edit studio, cut it together. It's called In the Blink of an Eye. Look for that book. It's all about edit theory. They cut the frame together that morning, you know, that they had worked on that night, found what two shots they wanted to meld together and splice we call it. Sorry, meld, what? Splice them together, spent the rest of the day looking at film, the rest of the day. And then, and that's not just like, you know, clicking and going to a link and opening a video. Like they were sitting there like, all right, cue up this next reel and like, click, here we go. All this nonsense. And then they would end the day with like, that's the cut we're going to make tomorrow when we come in. That's where we're going to edit the film. That's what we're gonna, and so that's why that film took so long to make. Aside from the fact that it like was this epic, you know, set piece of what it was.
McNibbin says, in other words, cross dissolves are lazy. Accurate hot take.
Cross dissolve. So in other words, cross dissolves are lazy. Okay, and then Standard Combo follows up with saying, "What's an example where a fade is better than a hard cut?" Okay, touche. Okay, so 2 really good comments there. I don't want to call it lazy, but it can be used in that way. Make the cut. The fade is for passage of time. The fade is for of slowing down the pace. The fade is for fixing bad cuts when they're there. The fade is not for. Let me get into something else too. Let's do this build up, by the way. The fade is not for. Shot to shot when you're trying to showcase, you know, the trailer. So you really want to use the hard cuts there. And when a cut doesn't work, you'll know it doesn't work because you're going to say, "Whoa, that was crazy." Editing is full control of the senses for sight and sound. You're fully giving up, or a viewer is giving you control of their sight and sound. This is Blair Witch 101, right? This is why Blair Witch made people dizzy in movie theaters, is because everyone was fully like, okay, you're going to take my eyes and you're going to take my ears and you're going to shake them all up and I'm going to get sick. And that's not how you do it. You got to be respectful of the viewer's trust for your filmmaking. So, yeah, I don't know. We're getting kind of into the weeds there a little bit and I'm running out of time. I want to do the build up real quick. I want to do the dragon. So the build up is our standard build up script version 2 by Standard Combo. Based off of the build-up script by Gavin Ear, also in community content. Super woots. We're using a cinematic shot for this. We are starting our camera here. We're going way down here.
Whew.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the start. You can select the camera and press F. Go right back to the start. We have this thing set to a field of view of 65 degrees. So here's 90 degrees, 65 degrees is like there. So that means that it's kind of zoomed in. It's compressing this dungeon so that when it builds, it feels like it's very tight. And the end camera is going to 135. So we're opening up very wide as we go. Now what this is going to do, it's going to increase the speed, right? There's going to be a velocity effect here so that it feels like it's getting faster as it goes, but it's really just kind of doing a push in, like it's doing a push in, pull out kind of effect that you see in like Lord of the Rings, very famous shot of Frodo on the trail. And so that's kind of how you're going to achieve that effect. Okay, so when we do this, we have a build-up script. The build-up script we've tried to show a couple of times, and I just haven't had it organized. Now it's all in one place. What we have here is a group of objects that you can see repeat continuously, because we have a dungeon here that is from a map created by, Tasha, help me out here.
Is it Brendan's map?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yes, you may have seen him. He's done 3 environment art streams recently, and he's a Huge D&D fan.
Let's see if I can get this keyboard to respond, because now my keyboard is starting to get low bats. Plug this in really quick as well. No, everything's getting a little old. Okay, so what we have here is we have this. It is selected where we can build everything up, and that's in this barn folder. Now, it actually comes with a barn that's preset to build up. What I do is I just delete the barn and I put everything into this networked folder. We start with the floor, move to the pillars, and you kind of layer and group the way you want things and what order you want them to come in. Okay, so everything is organized specifically, just like this, and you select that entire set, which I think goes to about, I don't think it includes that one or that one. There. So you that pillar, and then we kind of build up more, yes. And you select the whole set, and you do it, you do it in the order you want it to go. And that can either be, selecting the top one and holding shift down to the bottom one. If you do it out of order, if you select the bottom and go to the top, it's gonna paste them in the order of whatever the first one you selected was. Okay, so you don't want to.
So hierarchy matters.
So hierarchy matters, order matters. It's all pretty clutch. And then what you end up with is this shot, which I could show you in the trailer, but we're just gonna go right to it. So here's our shot that our cinematic shot, and you can see that the light is generating, and that's based off what we've set for the generation in the shot. Because we're actually, this isn't pre-built as we're going down it for the purposes of our video. I'm just showing you now as it's completed what it looks like. But if we were so inclined, we can press the initiate key for the build, and then we have it. And now,
so cool.
The torchlight you can see coming up, just because I thought it was kind of just a neat effect, the way it brought a little firelight, and you could actually marry it with the torch so that it all comes up together. That is totally up to you if you were doing something like this. All right, here we go. So let's get right to where we want it to start, and we're going to say right about here, and then we say build, and now we're in it, right? And we've got bones coming in and all this stuff, and we set it so that the camera is moving slightly slower than the build rate. And now in this build up tool, let me go to where you can see the settings. In this build up camera script tool, you can see that there's an offset here of where they're coming from. They can either come from above or below. There's a build speed, and then you have a depth. Now the depth is how many folders deep into the hierarchy it takes on a build step.
Ooh,
so you can
cool.
group things together as you see fit. Now you can also do this thing where you do it on a play on key event, and you can also do it on a play on event. So this is something that can be incorporated into your game, even if you wanted to have something build up in front of a player's eyes in the middle of an experience. This is something that you can make and trigger in-game. Has nothing to do with the cinematic of the camera we've associated with it. These are just two tools that work together incredibly well. And this is how we create a lot of the effects that you see in our trailers. This is how we do the mech at the end of the spaceships trailer. This is how we do the very first trailer. If you've seen the multiverse trailer, this is how it all builds up, and it's just so much fun to play with this and use it for your creations. I want people to use this to make a video of your creation where you can have it actually constructed right before your eyes after you've made this incredible set piece or scenery, and that alone is a trailer. That shot can be its own promotional video piece for your game. So definitely play with that and have fun with that. And then as we close this out, I'm going to show one last project.
We're going to talk about the dragon. No spoilers.
Okay. No spoilers.
And then before we jump into that, someone in chat asked, Kachit asked, what is this? This is Core. So it is a UGC game creation engine and platform. So you can make, play, and share games with your friends. And it's inspired by mods and open sourcing. So there's a heavy focus on sharing your creations with others and It is really fun if you want to check it out. Coregames.com is free and it's pretty fun, but I'm biased, so
It's
you
awesome.
should check
It's
it
so
out
much
yourself.
fun. It's so much fun. Biased or not, it's still fun.
I know. It's too fun because
Yeah.
it makes it hard to have like a work-life balance because I like finish work and then I'm like, but what if I
What
just
can I go do?
messed around in core for a little bit?
I'll show that. Yeah. All right. Well, as we close this stream with the final shot, at the very end of the trailer, you do see a little teaser here where we are kind of going through the clouds and flying, and then something kind of appears, and then good night. Big dramatic hit. Always great to include teasers and experiential kind of moments at the very end. It's a good way to get a little extra drama in there and maybe entice your viewer to kind of give them that extra little nudge to go check it out.
So this few seconds of the trailer was actually the most talked about after we launched it, because people were wondering how it was made. Yeah. Is the dragon even possible in core? And Jason, I'm just going to let you explain everything.
So yes, it is. Here's what we've got. Okay, this is our shot. We are flying through the correct me if I'm wrong. Flying through the clouds, having a good time. And then you hear a lot of flapping, a lot of noise, and we start to pull back. And this shot was a little bit longer, but then, when you start to think about like what you really want to show and what's enough to make the point, that was kind of where we stopped. When we made this shot, okay, how do we do this? Whoops. Oh, apparently I wasn't in core at all. Here is where'd the dragon go? Hey, there it is. Okay, so here is the dragon. This is a dragon that was created by Tasha. I'm going to let you take that.
Agrippina.
Yeah.
And Agrippina's in chat, and she did an amazing job. And I think did Juliet help out as well with the dragon asset or other assets in the trailer? I think I saw her, MJ Cortez.
I believe
in the
so.
Chat.
I believe so. I talked to Agrippina about this directly only, so I'm not sure who else was involved, but shout out in the Twitch chat, please, to whoever deserves.
Okay, Juliet also made
credit.
2 dragons. Yeah. 2 very, very, very talented core creators. Thank you so much for helping us out with this trailer.
Yes, thank you. This was like one of my favorite things to shoot for one very specific reason, for many very specific reasons, but for this reason, we have a cinematic shot that travels up the dragon's, or back down the dragon's spine. It starts in front of the dragon. It ends behind the dragon. To achieve this, we have this dragon here that is animated in place, essentially. Okay, so there is the dragon. It is just doing its thing in place. It's not moving. It is just totally hanging out. Agrippina created this environment, this sunset, which I don't know about anybody else, but I'm super down to go wherever it is that has this sunset all the time, and just look at that sunset. But we've created a fog layer. This is like an old Superman trick, and I mean Superman like Superman the movie. Like the 70s Superman. Like
OG Christopher Reeves.
Exactly. And so what we did is we basically created a big fog machine that has a wind speed. I don't know why it's funny. It's funny.
This is just like so ingenious.
It's 300
I love
speed.
This.
Yeah, we just blew a bunch of fog in its face and messed with some of the settings here to give it a lot of life.
My camera. Where did I go?
Sorry, oh no!
Jason.
What happened? Tasha.
I think my battery died. Let me plug that into a live source there.
Oh no.
Oh, fingers crossed. Will I come back?
So we got the wind blowing in the face of the dragon. And then what we did is we just let the dragon be in place. And we watch as our camera starts here. And then it very slowly moves back. It just like does this little move back, and it drops in elevation ever so slightly, so that the effect is here. And there you go. Click. Jesus. And so the wind is extreme close up.
Way too big. Okay.
And so what I did here is I gave it an ease effect and did a lot of extra what are called handles, so that I could really kind of play with letting the wind kind of take that fog and build up. And that is how we did the dragon effect. We did not fly it around. It was all just little tricks, little camera tricks, virtual practical camera tricks.
I just loved how this was, again, a technique that's normally used on physical sets, but totally translates over to the digital realm.
Because Core is literally like it's virtual world. It's not just a gameplay. Like, that's a virtual world. I just want to say, like, there are if you're into ancient history, because I tout this to like a lot of my other life as a ancient history buff, like friends in Facebook and stuff, like you can recreate like ancient historical ruins in Core to like what they could have been like at that time. And it's just, I don't know, that I have such a kick doing that, especially with all this D&D stuff that keeps coming out. It's like, oh my gosh, I could totally like design that ruin that's like underwater at this one place and see what that would have looked like underwater. Oh my god. So that is the behind the screens of the trailer. Tasha, how do we close? If you have any questions, hit us up in the Discord and hit me up directly at GetchLives on Twitter and Tasha Rats on Twitter, and in Core Core ID Core Video.
I'm Tobbs.
Yeah, Core Video or Getch, depending on what I got going on. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and asking all of these wonderful questions. And of course, if you have follow-up questions, as Getch said, you can hit him up on Discord or Twitter.
Yeah, totally.
And of course, shout out to Agrippina and MJ Cortez, who helped make some assets for this. They were so good, people didn't even believe they were kit bashed, which I just think is incredible. I love that. And I think that's all I have to say.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, wait, Tasha, before we go, we have to.
I just said bye. Don't make it
awkward. No, I know.
Jason.
I was like the worst. Let's talk about tools. I don't want to totally not talk about tools. So we're going to have another stream.
Tools.
We're going to work through it. We're going to look at the calendar. We're going to put it on the schedule. So stay tuned. Keep checking out our schedule, because we'll put a thing together about like film theory in trailers, and like kind of dissect like maybe we'll dissect like all the trailers and like how they're edited and why that way. Or something. So
yeah, and then if you want Jason to come on more, please bother both of us. We can peer pressure him into
it. Real talk. Yeah, it can happen. I like it. It's fun. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching.
Okay.
Bye again.
Bye for real.
Bye for real.
Okay. Bye for real, everyone.
Bye for real.
Awesome.